All right, y'all. All right, y'all. Peace and love. Peace and love. Come on in. Come on in. All right, so we're gonna get into DL Hughley breaking down of how we know who's on the Epstein list. So he recently posted on his Instagram earlier about the Epstein list, and well, let's go ahead and get into it. And then we're gonna get into some other things surrounding the Epstein list as well. So um make sure y'all smash that like button and let's go ahead and get into it.
Do you know how we know for sure who's on the Epstein list? Because of who we know isn't on the Epstein list. We know it isn't a bunch of black and brown people. We know it isn't a bunch of poor people. We know who it isn't. So we know who it is. We know who they're not talking about. We know who they're not identifying. Make no mistake, if it was a bunch of black and brown poor people, we know everything about them already. But because, and we know a couple of things. We also know this, that 40-some% of Republicans say they would still vote for Trump, even if he was found to be guilty of pedophilia. They said that. So we know for sure either he is a pedophile or he's covering for them. And we also know that his base let him know that's okay. He's the evangelical Christian base that said that's fine. What I find ironic is that the people who claim they want God to hear their prayers don't listen to the children's screams. You want God to hear you, give you the desires of your heart, or to protect you, or to help you, or to be there for you, while you turn your back on the very people God charged you with protecting.
Me, my take on it is the people that's on the Epstein list are people that's, CEOs, corporation, we're other world leaders. Yeah, I mean, executives, people in, the political space, people from, you know, uh, just different industries, period. I believe, are people that's on the Epstein list. Now, Trump definitely, possibly could be on the Epstein list, as well as other people like Bill Clinton and other people they speculate that's on that list. But I wanted to share this timeline. So CNN put together a timeline. It says Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein's relationship, a visual timeline. So let's go ahead and go over this timeline. So all right, so this is 19. The start point is 1987. It says Trump and Jeffrey Epstein relationship begins according to Trump in 2002 profile of Epstein in New York Magazine. 1989, Trump attends a party on a yacht called Ladies Gaisling, owned by billionaire Robert Maxwell, which is her father. His daughter, Gaisling Maxwell, and a British socialite, is among the guests at the party, according to the newspaper reporters. And that's 1989. Trump knew this man a long time. 1993, Trump flies with Epstein to Maxwell's on Epstein's private jet four times between Palm Beach and Toledo. I said Toledo, Teterboro, New Jersey. Airports, according to the flight logs made public in 2021 during Maxwell's uh, ex trafficking trial. So October 1993. Trump and his children, Eric and Ivanka, are photographed with Epstein at the Harley Davidson Cafe opening in New York City. And there you go. You see the picture right there. Trump with his children and Epstein. All right. So December 20th, 1993, Epstein attends Trump's wedding at at Marla Maples in New York at the Plaza Hotel. That's they showing pictures of that. And here, okay, another flight list. Um, Flight log, May 15, 1994. Trump flies on Epstein jet twice per flight log from Palm Beach to Florida to Washington, D.C., and then later D.C. and Teterboro, New Jersey. August 13th, 1995. Trump and his son Eric accompanies Epstein, Maxwell, and others on a flight from Palm Beach to Teterboro. again. January 5th, 1997, Trump flies on the Epstein private jet to Palm Beach, from Palm Beach to New York, New Jersey. It's a lot of traveling back and forth to Jersey and Palm Beach. All right, so here's October the 30th, 1997. Trump is photographed with Maxwell in Ford Modeling Agency anniversary party at the Ford Modeling Agency anniversary party. Here we go. That's Trump and Ghislaine. So 1997, Epstein and Trump are photographed together at Mar-a-Lago. April 1999, Trump attends dinner at Epstein's Upper East Side mansion with Maxwell, serving Epstein's hostess, according to New York Post. February 2000, Trump, Epstein, Maxwell, and Melania, I can't even say that name, Knaus or whatever them damn weird ass. That's like some German shit, probably. The future first lady and photographed in Mar-a-Lago. I can't understand her. I forgot what the fuck nationality she is. But anyway, all right. So October 28th, 2002, in New York Magazine, profile of Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein International, money man of the mystery. Trump describes him as a terrific guy, saying he's known Epstein for 15 years. It's even said that he likes the beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are younger, on the younger side, Trump said. Yeah, that was October 2002. All right, so November 2002, Trump, Maxwell, Melania, and model Naomi Campbell are photographed at the opening of Dolce and Gabbana in New York, and she definitely is on the flight list a lot of times with Epstein. Um, Now, gotta remember the flight list is different from the client list. They're not the same, even though some of them probably from the flight list are on, of course, the on the client list, but you know, they don't want to show the client list to us. So 2004, in his 2004 book, Trump, How to Get Rich, Trump wrote about taking a call from a man named the mysterious Jeffrey, which is Jeffrey Epstein, of course. It ain't Jeffrey Dahmer. God damn it. All right, so November 2004, Trump leaves two messages for Epstein, according to the message pad seized from Epstein's Palm Beach property. March 2005, police in Palm Beach opened an investigation into Epstein after the parents of a 14-year-old girl says he paid her for a massage. He paid says he paid her for a massage, and that was in 2005. Let's see if Trump have any dealings after that with Epstein. Hold on, y'all. Damn, what the hell? Why is this shit doing that? All right, let me go to the next. Why does it keep going forward? I'm trying to go up. The hell? I don't even know why this shit acting all crazy like that. All right, so July 19th. Damn, what the hell? All right, let me restart this again because it's acting weird and it's doing some shit automatically on its own. Shit is acting like it's possessed. Damn it. Let me go forward, y'all. Hold on. Y'all bear with me, man. I'm sorry. Is this shit? Oh, is this a doing this shit on its own? All right, so you know what I'm gonna have to do because this shit is keep going. It's keep. It won't even let me pause the mother. Pause it. Damn. Pause it. Damn. What the hell? All right. 2000 May 2025. The Wall Street Journal reports that sometime in May, the AG Pam Bondi told Trump at the briefing that his name appears multiple times in the Epstein files, including the potential, I can't see what the hell that is, an unverified hearsay about Trump. All right, so July 24th, 2025, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanchie interviews Maxwell, which we're going to get into that interview, in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Tallahassee, Florida, in the Bureau of Prisons, later transferred Maxwell to a low security federal prison in Texas. So now they just moving her ass around and all that after she didn't drop dime on a couple niggas. You know what I'm saying? You don't like that shit. All right, so man, let's switch gears. Let's switch gears because I wanna get into some other videos that's tied to this. Let me play. Okay, let me see here. We have all right, so this is Epstein. This is an interview they had with Epstein. All right, let me start. Let me reshare this because the sound be going out. So let me go ahead and reshare this real quick. Y'all bear with me, man. Make sure y'all smash that like button. And we gonna get into this. All right, so this is Epstein pled the fifth when they asked about Trump. Okay. All right.
Donald Trump.
Start that again. Let me start that.
You ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
Have you ever had a personal...
Yeah, because we know them niggas that we know they were, allegedly had underage girls around when they was doing certain things. Yeah. Come on, man. That's what they specialty was. Messing around with underage girls, man. That was their damn specialty. All right, so here we go. So we have Trump and Epstein here's the you know the video of Trump and Epstein at the gathering. It seems pretty personal to me, ladies and gentlemen. That's Gaislene in the back. Yep. Gaislene in the back. Yeah, this seems pretty personal to me, up and close and personal. And this is 1992. Yeah, they seem like they old buddy and shit. Look at them. Smiling, laughing, giggling. Yeah. All right, so I want to switch gears. I want to get into this because I never really got into this interview here with Gaislene from prison. So let me reshare this for sound purposes because I don't want the sound go out. I want to be able to catch everything. So we're gonna get into this Gaislene Maxwell interview from jail. Make sure y'all click that like button. All right, and subscribe.
Maxwell told our interviewers and her brother Kevin, who was also present, that she's suffering from depression, having lost everything. She claimed to be keeping her spirits up by working every day on her appeal. And she revealed intimate details of how this one-time socialite is dealing with daily prison life.
So they wake you up at 6 and you can go to breakfast, which consists of a cereal and a piece of fruit, generally. And then you have to make your bed sort of military style. So there's nothing that's sticking out or whatever. It has to be a prescribed way, otherwise you can trouble. You can get what's called a shot. And then at 7:30, you go to work. And for me, that means I go to the law library to help people So they have detainers, or they have warrants, or they're trying to appeal their case, and let's see, get a compassionate release, or they ask about the First Step Act and how credits are applied to their time, that sort of thing. And I answer those types of questions. I also help people file out their administrative remedies. And that is until 10 o'clock, when you have to come back and they call lunch is around 10:30. The portion control is very odd. And then because I'm on a no meat diet, they're supposed to have either hummus or cottage cheese or tofu for you, but mostly I'd say about 95% of it's tofu, if it's anything, or beans. And
All
I
right,
say
Gangland, we
95%
don't
of
care about what you
it's,
eating in that
it's
goddamn
beans, and then
prison, man.
otherwise,
Let's get
and
to
you
it.
have a stand-up head count of 4. And if you're not, you get to go out. I believe that he was murdered.
All right,
Was
she's
shot.
talking about Epstein now.
And I wondered how it had happened. Because as far as I was concerned, he was going to, I was sure he was going to appeal. And I was sure that he was covered under the non-prosecution agreement. But I wasn't in the indictment. So I wasn't mentioned. I wasn't even one of the co-conspirators. I obviously wish I'd never met him. You know, looking back now, I probably wish I had stayed in England. But leaving that aside, you know, I tried to leave and start a new job and move on from the end of 98, 99. So I wish that I had been more successful at moving on, because I became a banker. So I should have, you know, moved on completely. At the time, I wouldn't have had a problem introducing people to my friends to him, because I didn't know that he was so awful. I mean, obviously now, really, looking back with hindsight, of course, but at the time, I mean, he had lots of friends. I mean, he was
How are you talking about you never met Epstein when y'all was in cahoots with each other? Y'all, you know what I'm saying? You was there every step of the way with this man. And you helped that man get in position. You helped that man get to where he was at. You know what I'm saying? You gotta remember he was a school teacher. How the hell a school teacher go from being, into being like one of the wealthiest men, you know what I mean, in the world and shit. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get there by himself. Obviously, her connections, being though her dad is, you know, a connected individual, which makes her connected. So yeah, you assisted Epstein, man.
friendly with just about everybody you can imagine. There was no reason to imagine that he wasn't someone of interest to people. What's a fake? I don't believe that. I don't believe it's real for a second. In fact, I'm sure it's not. There's never been an original. And further, there's no photograph. Right? And I've only ever seen a photocopy of it. I don't believe it happened. And it's certainly the way as described would have been impossible. I don't have any memory of going to Tramp. Certainly not an outfit that I would have worn. Her stories have changed so many times about what happens, when it happens, how it happens, with different versions. And each time she speaks, there's a different version. In fact, if you look at her BBC interview on the Panorama, I believe she says that I can't remember, either he that he puked on her face. That's the only time she's ever said that.
I've read a lot of her deposition, and in her deposition, her statements are very categorical, and her stories are very detailed and elaborate. If her memory is so poor, then how can you rely on anything that she says? So I don't know on which it is, whether her memory is so bad that you can't really credit anything she says, or it's more disingenuous than that. I can't obviously tell you which it is, only she knows definitively the answer to that. Like I said, I think once you retract on two men that you make claims against on the grounds that your memory is faulty, like I said, I think that, you have to question everything that she says. I thought that the Queen was one of the most exceptional women I ever had the honor and privilege of briefly meeting. And I think anybody of her stature, the longevity of her reign, her elegance, and her sheer capacity for dedication to her work and to her job, really, was just astonishing. And it was one of the greatest privileges of my life to have the honor to meet her. She radiated a warmth and a sparkle in her eyes that was just mesmerizing, really. And I shared the story that we shared was about horses, because I love horses and she loves horses, and so we talked about horses briefly, I remember, and just shared a love of horses, and that was one of her great loves.
And it's clear from her prison interview that for Maxwell, the feeling was mutual.
Well, he's one of the most interesting people I've ever met.
And they saying Prince Andrew was on that goddamn list. You know what I'm saying? They saying he was on that list. They speculate that he was on that list. There's rumors going around that, because he partied with Epstein a lot of time. He partied with Epstein too. You know what I'm saying? He partied with Epstein as well. So yeah, they doing a lot of distracting from this Epstein shit. You know what I mean? I believe, Trump is definitely in on it. He's definitely in on the distraction. For sure.
Survivors are people like Jane. Now, we don't know Jane's full.
All right, so we're gonna get into some of the victims that spoke out on, on Jeffrey Epstein. All right, so let me share this again. Man, please make sure y'all click that like button, man. Figure we do it like this.
Name, but we know that Jane was 14 years old when she met Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell at a youth camp in Michigan. Here's what the story said, quote, Epstein first abused Jane when she was 14. Jane said that there were sexual encounters with Epstein for the next 3 years, around every 2 weeks. Sometimes Maxwell was in the room during this sexual abuse. There were occasions when Maxwell touched Jane's breasts. Jane is a real survivor. So is Carolyn, who testified that she went to Epstein's home over 100 times from age 14 to 18, where she was told to massage Jeffrey Epstein. Carolyn said that at the age of 14, before one of the massages, Maxwell came in and felt my boobs and my hips and my buttocks and said that I had a great body for Mr. Epstein and his friends. And then there's Maria Farmer. Unlike some of Epstein's other victims, Maria Farmer was 25 years old when she says Epstein assaulted her, though her younger sister, who also says she was abused by Epstein, was a minor. Maria Farmer was an employee of Jeffrey Epstein's at the time. She said that in 1996, she was at the estate of Victoria's Secret CEO Leslie Wexner with Epstein and Maxwell. She says that Epstein and Maxwell violently groped her until she fled the room and barricaded herself in another part of the building. And during her time in Epstein's orbit, Maria Farmer says she also encountered Donald Trump. She told the New York Times that in 1995, quote, late one night, Mr. Epstein unexpectedly called her to his offices in a luxury building in Manhattan. She arrived in running shorts. Mr. Trump then arrived wearing a business suit and started to hover over her. Ms. Farmer said she recalled feeling scared as Mr. Trump stared at her bare legs. Then Mr. Epstein entered the room and she recalled him saying to Mr. Trump, no, she's not here for you. The two men left the room and Ms. Farmer said she could hear Mr. Trump commenting that he thought Ms. Farmer was 16 years old. Joining me now is Maria Farmer, along with her attorney, Jennifer Freeman. And before we get started, I just want to say to you, Maria, I think it is incredibly courageous that you are continuing to tell your story in a very, very public way. It cannot be easy, and I'm very grateful for you being here with us tonight. So let me start just there, Maria.
Thank you, Jen, for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Let me start by asking you, I mean, this nightmare has followed you for a very, very long time. I mean, decades. And I'm sure that Jeffrey Epstein's reemergence, I mean, all over the news has been incredibly painful. How are you? How are you doing? Yes. How are you digesting all of this?
Thank you for asking that. That's very thoughtful, because a lot of people aren't aware of every time his picture is on one of their podcasts or, and I've asked several people, can you please not just flash his picture everywhere, or Maxwell's, and not glamorize them? But thank you for asking that, because a lot of people aren't aware that re-traumatizes victims every time we have to see his face. And it's a case that has just never gone away. It just won't go away. And I need your audience to understand that, I reported this almost 3 decades ago. So a lot of people will say, oh, why is she just coming forward now? And they think it's political. And it's not. It's something I've been working on pretty much. I dedicated all of my youth to this. And so I'm doing it not just for me, but for the victims who are now deceased and the victims that are very much alive. And I want to get justice for all of them. I feel that for my little sister to have gone through what she went through and to have had to testify against Maxwell and then have to suffer, and there are others that I love very much who are suffering this right now about Maxwell. It's completely unacceptable. Why would Maxwell be given a voice when she is a convicted pedophile? It's been very difficult, and I appreciate the question. I appreciate you asking.
Of course. And I think we're all grateful for you having the courage to be here and tell your story and be out there. And let me ask you, because this is one of the reasons I think it's so important to hear from people like you who are so courageous. I mean, you and your sister, as you just referenced, Annie, were the first survivors to come forward and try to tell the authorities about what Epstein and his associates were doing. You first went to the NYPD in 1996, then the FBI. You said you felt like you weren't taken seriously. Right. You've repeated that. You now dismissed. You were now suing the federal government, accusing it of negligence and failing to protect victims of sexual assault. And I just wanted our viewers to be aware of all of that and all the time you've spent on this and trying to get this story told. Tell us more about the story you told to the police.
Well, when I called, I told them I was reporting kind of an international pedophile, and I called it child pornography ring because they didn't call it CSAM yet. But that part is one of the most important parts to me, because some photographs that were personal photographs of mine that I used for working from, not to copy exactly, but they were anatomy studies for my art. And I was doing these series of paintings for the movie As Good as It Gets. This wasn't for me. It wasn't for Epstein. It was actually for a major producer. And because of being, held captive, I didn't get to finish that. But basically, those photographs are a permanent thing that Ghislaine Maxwell stole from the basement at Leslie Wexner's guest house. And those photographs are a permanent way that my sisters are being abused and that I'm being abused. And so when I told the federal government, I said, this really frightens me, because I believe if they did this to us, they're doing it to everyone. And I see a lot of children coming in allegedly for Victoria's Secret modeling or for modeling for Katie Ford. They had all these model scouts around them, Trump, all these people, and they were allegedly auditioning models. But for Victoria's Secret, the girls didn't have any breasts. I didn't understand. And so basically it's been very an arduous journey over 29 years of just trying to get people to hear me. So I'm so grateful that you're bringing attention to this evening.
No, and we want you to be able to tell all the aspects of your story that it's so important for people to understand. And it wasn't you didn't only go to the FBI and the police back in the 90s. You also had an interview with agents in 2006. And one of our legal correspondents, Lisa Rubin, was able to obtain the FBI's notes from that interview. I'm going to show some of them right there on the screen. There are a ton of redactions in these notes, as you can see. And I know this was some time ago, but do you remember what you spoke to them about during this interview and what details you shared with them during this interview?
Yes. Yeah, so basically, I want to make it really clear because people don't understand this. My little sister was only 16, and she didn't go to the FBI in 96. I did that. And I protected my family because I didn't want anyone to know how dangerous this was. And so basically, after 1996, they literally just hung up and I heard nothing for 10 years. And then I got a knock on the door. I was in the woods of North Carolina, and there were these two agents standing there. And Agent Nesbitt Kirkendall said, we're here about your 1996 FBI report. And I was kind of shocked, and it's because I have so much trauma. I was kind of making jokes and trying to give them orange juice and cookies and, just make light of it. And it's so traumatic. Like, my sister was selling like products to them. We didn't know what to do with the FBI. We told them the entire story of what occurred with Ghislaine Maxwell being a sexual predator and predating children. She used to say, I need to go get the nubiles at 3:00 because the children were getting out of school. And of course, I would ask to quit. And I said, what is this? And she said, no. They're just models for Victoria's Secret, Maria. Just calm down, So basically, there was a lot of gaslighting that occurred. But in 2006, they hunted me down. And they asked me to testify in the federal trial in Florida. And then they gave the sweetheart deal. And so I never testified. And then when it came time to testify in this trial, I actually was in ICU and chemotherapy. And a lot of people say she didn't even get to testify. And I'm like, because I was incapacitated. But my sister did testify, and my mother. And our stories have never changed. They're very credible.
I did not
I
realize
just want
that.
my files.
Of course you do. And I didn't realize about your health journey too. You've been through a tremendous amount. You've also talked about a night in 1995 when you were at Jeffrey Epstein's office and Donald Trump came by and made a lewd comment, and then you overheard Epstein say to him, she's not for you. And we just told this story because you've told it publicly before.
Right.
And in response to that, and I want to ask you about that, but I just wanted to note that in response to that, a White House spokesperson responded saying, this is recycled old fake news of the highest order that was already peddled more than 6 years, concocted by Democrats and the liberal media, just like they did with the Russiagate scandal, which was just proven today. The president was never in his office. The fact is that the president kicked him out of his club for being a creep. There is a lot packed in there, similar themes we've seen in other statements, I will say, but it's about you. What is your response to that?
Right. So first of all, that's so insulting and disingenuous because I reported this in 1996. And I have to say, like, Donald Trump was a Democrat when I reported him. So him saying that this was a Republican thing, this is not a partisan thing. This is pedophilia. Anyone can be a pedophile. It's literally, unfortunately, it just happens to be a lot of Republicans. And that's a fact. And those same Republicans want to entertain Ghislaine Maxwell, like Tim Burchett wants to entertain her and flash her around and act like we victims should not be heard from. He didn't want to speak to me. He wanted to speak to Ghislaine and give her a voice and an audience. And my little sister is one of her victims, and so am I. So this is so damaging. And yes, I'm fighting 2 cancers, so I would like to be able to retire.
And that's the thing. They trying to make it a political left-right thing, a Democrat versus Republican thing when it comes to this Epstein list. And we know it's both parties on that goddamn list. People that represent both parties is on that list. They trying to keep people confused at the lower level to keep us fighting amongst each other about whether it's Democrats on the list or Republicans on the list. That's the psyop. Don't let that fool you. It's all types of people on that damn client list.
And have my FBI reports so that I can help bring accountability to everyone. It's not just me. I have the weight of all the young women on my shoulders right now.
You certainly do. And I am, again, grateful for you being here. We have to sneak in a very quick break.
Jen.
I have more questions for you. I hope you don't mind sticking around. Both you and Jennifer, thank you so much. We'll be right back. You heard Jeffrey Epstein say to Donald Trump, she's not for you. What was your reaction to that? What was going on in your head at the time about that? What did you think that meant?
Right. Well, I already felt kind of intimidated because it was in a dark office and I was alone with my new boss, to be, and this man that's a powerful businessman. And so I felt intimidated, but that's not why I reported him. I reported him because when Epstein came out of the office, I was making a face at him because I felt threatened. And so I went, and he kind of laughed and backed off. And as that was happening, Epstein walked out and said, oh, no, she's not here for you. And he emphasized, she's not here for you. And he said, come with me. And he escorted him into another office. And I was like, who's in there? And when he said, oh, I thought she was 16, I thought, is there a 16-year-old in there? Right? So what people need to understand is I'm not some crazy person who just reports people if they look at my legs or I'm in an office with them. But when someone is hanging out with a convicted or a pedophile, and I discover that pedophile has stolen my little sister, and then there's a powerful businessman that's making comments about me being my sister's age, then I think that the FBI needs to take a good look at it. And so that's why I asked that they do that.
I agree.
And as far as like the Republicans have really, really been kind of tormenting the victims. And so that's a separate topic. But
I want to ask you about that too. And the part that just kept sticking with me is she's not for you. I just don't know what that meant. None of us know what that meant, but it is hard to get it out of your head. Let me ask you, Ghislaine Maxwell, and I want to ask you too about this, Jennifer, and thank you so much for being here with us. Todd Blanche, who is now the Deputy Attorney General, is meeting with Maxwell in jail today. And as you have referenced a couple of times here, so I want to ask you more about it. She's been a little, and I started talking about this, lionized almost, like lifted up by some who are suggesting she could be a victim too, what is your reaction to that? What has been your reaction to that? Maria, let me ask you that. And then I wanted to ask you, Jennifer, just what your thoughts are on that meeting.
Right. So I've never met a more predatory, terrifying human being in my entire life. And neither had Virginia Giuffre, and neither has Amy or Anushka or many girls like Shantae Davies. There's hundreds of us that were preyed upon by Ghislaine Maxwell. She's a very dangerous person, and she threatened my life on many occasions. I've had to move and be in hiding because of this predatory child predator and just victim predator. So it's completely unacceptable for anyone to call her a victim. The woman is not a victim. She's a victimizer.
Let me ask you, that is an accurate and good way of putting it. Let me ask you, Jennifer, I mean, you've obviously been standing.
Ghislaine definitely ain't no damn victim. Like, she preyed upon underage children, underage women, to get them to Epstein, to get them on that island for those clients. Where's the client list? Why haven't y'all leaked the client list yet? Because they know it's some powerful people on that list that they don't want to get out. And I believe Trump uses Ghislaine to target the people that he wants to target that's on that list. You know what I mean? Used it basically for his own personal gain. Let's continue.
Side by side here with Maria, but you are also a lawyer. And I want to know your thoughts about seeing Trump's former personal lawyer, who's now the Deputy Attorney General, go spend the day privately with Ghislaine Maxwell. He's going back tomorrow. What do you think about that?
This is deeply, deeply disturbing. Ghislaine Maxwell is not a reliable witness. To think that someone who is facing what she's facing the rest of her 20-year sentence and now might have an opportunity to change that dramatically by saying whatever she wants to say or needs to say to those in charge and in charge of her fate, it makes no sense, and she's not reliable. I find it also very disturbing to equate her with a victim. We've been dealing with the Epstein victims for many years, Maria and many others, and they're the people that should be focused on here. And there's absolutely no attention to the victims. For example, there was the issuance of this memorandum 2 weeks ago. What that was issued without talking to a single victim.
Are you referring to the request for the grand jury files? That or a different request?
No, sorry, I'll make that. Yeah, no, the FBI and DOJ memorandum that says we will not release any files. There's nothing to see here. We're not going to charge anyone. This is over. And they made this conclusion, reached this conclusion without even talking to a single victim.
Which is completely outrageous. Let me ask you on that front. I mean, because there's also been this call to release the files from the grand jury, which are very narrow, and you can describe it further. But one of the steps they're supposed to take is reach out as a part of the victim notices process. Have they done that at all? Have you heard from them, Jennifer?
Not a peep, nothing. So they have not done their job in really truly trying to get those records. But those records are, even if they got them, are a spit in the ocean. They have 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence sitting in their offices. The grand jury materials could be somewhat interesting, but that's not the guts of it.
No, certainly not. Let me ask you, Maria, there's been some I don't know if it's progress, some push to subpoena the Epstein files, to learn more, that's moved through the House Oversight Committee yesterday. Do you see that as progress? Right. And if Congress asks you to testify publicly or behind closed doors, is that something you'd be willing to do?
I've been waiting to testify. David Boies had promised I would be able to testify, and it didn't happen. And now it looks like they're wanting Ghislaine to testify. It's my turn. Yes.
So you would be willing. Well, that's a significant thing. And
yes, absolutely. I'm waiting.
I hope somebody out there is watching and ask you. Let me ask you both. Jennifer, let me start with you. If you're able to gain access to the Epstein files, you may, I guess, if Congress has them and if they've contacted you, first of all, let me ask, has Congress contacted you about sharing anything from what they've subpoenaed?
No, they have not.
Okay, I hope they do. Let me ask you then, if you were to gain access, I hope so too. Somebody watching better be contacting you. Let me ask you, if you were to gain access, and I certainly hope you do, if they follow through with this, and I think they will, what are you going to look for first?
Well, first, we're going to look for Maria's records, which we've been asking for years. Yes. And in response, we got, for example, a recent memo that's from the government that says, we'll be back to you by November 2027. That is completely unacceptable. Jen, the reality of this is that this is one of the largest law enforcement failures in U.S. history. Maria went to the FBI, gave them all the information they needed, talked about child sex abuse, trafficking. Child porn gave them the information. If they had done their job, nearly 25 years of sex abuse and other crimes could have been avoided. And this is truly tragic
29.
and unacceptable that they failed to do their job.
That's because they trying to cover up a lot of it that's happening. They trying to cover up for those people that's on that list. And like I said, they brought Ghislaine ass in as a way to target certain people on that list. You know what I'm saying? So they playing a game. And it's definitely a covert war going on at the top. It's definitely a war going on at the top. It's obvious that being as though that they not trying to release the Epstein client list for the entire list, that they gonna keep us distracted. They're gonna roll out, who they gonna roll out, and we're gonna start seeing names in the media pop up that's gonna be linked to the Epstein list, the client list, not the flight list. Y'all gonna see, watch, because they need this to keep going on as a distraction. And I believe a lot of the people on that list need to go to jail. They need to go to jail. So, but they also got a lot of other things going on that they're going to try to use the Epstein list as a distraction, to keep us, to keep our minds just focusing on that. But yeah, these people need to testify in front of Congress. Ghislaine need to take her ass up there and tell. I don't think she should get any immunity because of that, because she partaked in a lot of that shit. She right where she should be. But she definitely need to come forward and, and spill the beans. These individuals should have a right to testify, being victims of Epstein. They should be at Congress, testifying against the people on that list. Yeah, I mean, but like I said, they gonna play in our faces with this list. They're not gonna release that list in its entirety. Nope.
You have both been so generous with your time. I just want to ask Maria, before you go, you've been so courageous to speak out publicly. And if you could speak right now to any of the other victims who say they have been assaulted by Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell, what would you say to them? Because I know a lot of people are struggling right now.
Right. Well, there's a few of them I'm going to be reaching out to, and I want them to know that I love them. I'm so proud of people like Jennifer Rose and Shantae Davies and Marika and just Anushka. They're the most beautiful young girls that were harmed. And I'm much older. I'm the den mother, and I'm mad. I'm the angry, bear. And I want those girls protected.
I'm sure they're grateful to have a den mother like you out there speaking so bravely on their behalf.
The old one.
Maria Farmer, Jennifer Freeman, thank you both so much for being out here and sharing your story.
Thank you, Jen.
Teresa Helm joins us. She's now working as a...
All right, y'all. I wanted to definitely, capture that on, for this stream. The victims of Jeffrey Epstein speaking out on MSNBC, of course. So I need y'all to smash that like button, man. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't. And we will be going live later about the, we got, some follow-up live streams about the Trump situation. So make sure y'all check out the previous live stream we did yesterday on Trump bringing in the National Guards. Make sure y'all watch that live stream, because we're doing another follow-up live stream at 6 o'clock today. All right. So on that note, I'm about to get up out of here, and I'll catch y'all.
Shop now at nightandayherbals.com and enjoy 35% off all our herbal CBD products automatically applied at checkout.